So we brewed this beer with this yeast in less than 72 hours, and spoiler alert, it tastes awesome. So let's watch how we make it.
Welcome to our brand new series where we're deep diving into the latest yeast strains from CellarScience. We've spent months on a mission, brewing with pros, crafting new recipes, experimenting with fresh wort kits, and pushing these strains to their absolute limits to see where they really shine. These new strains now come in 15-gram sachets. That means healthier ferments, shorter lag times, and quicker turnarounds for your brew day. Join us as we explore the world of CellarScience and take your fermentation to the next level.
Hey guys, Brady from KegLand, and I've got a bit of a problem. I've been invited to a party this weekend and I've been asked to bring a couple of kegs of my beers down. The thing is, I only have a best bitter and a Hefeweizen on tap. And for me, that sounds like a good time. I'm not sure it's going to cut the mustard with this crowd. So we're going to try and churn out a beer as quickly as we can. So I'm going to try and get this beer into the fermenter and ferment it out within 2, maybe 3 days at a push. So what we're going to do to help us do that is we're going to use Jungle. So Jungle is a brand new strain just launched by CellarScience. Now this strain can ferment up to 32 degrees without off flavors. So we're going to really push the yeast really hard. It's got flavors of mango, guava, passion fruit, which should really complement the style that we're going for. So as I say, that hazy pale ale that we're going to go for, something a bit tropical, like I say, a crowd pleaser. It's also great at biotransformation. So we're going to dry hop during the fermentation so that we can get the hops in and then cold crash them out as quick as possible without having to worry about extended contact time. We are going to be dry hopping pretty warm, so we're going to want to keep that contact time to as short as possible. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try a method of carbonation, which is way more science than setting 40 psi and shaking the heck out of the keg. We should be able to dial it in perfectly using our hot Bong sight glass. So we'll show you how to do that. So whether you're just looking to carbonate very quickly, ferment very quickly, or find out how to turn out a good beer, well, we'll see in a couple of days. Yeah, stick around and we'll show you what we're gonna do. So the recipe that we've got planned for this one uses our NEPA Fresh Wort Kit base, which is awesome, tastes delicious. And then unsurprisingly, we've got Krush in there for the dry hop. So we've got 75 grams of Krush, 50 grams of Nectaron, and 50 grams of Motueka as well. So what we're hoping for is some mango, some pineapple coming through from them hops, and then the Motueka's in there just to give it a bit of that zestiness, that lime, to try and cut through those heavier hops and make it nice and easy drinking. We're gonna top up the Fresh Wort Kit with 6 liters of water, so 21 liters in total, which should give us a beer in the range around about the 5.3 mark, which is what we're aiming for, so it can be drank on a nice warm day. Don't have much time, so we're gonna get this in the fermenter. We're gonna ferment up to 32 degrees, so we're gonna let this sit down at 32 degrees. So we're just gonna get this one in there. There you go, pop that off and put it into the sanitizer. And yeah, we've got a sanitized fermenter, so we've had CellarScience in there. Don't worry about the foam. And then we've got a calibrated pill in there as well, which is gonna feed to the chamber what temperature it is so that we make sure that we get it bang on that 32 mark, because we don't wanna stress it out too much, but we don't wanna let it drop either. So yeah, we'll get this one going. Just spray it with some ethanol. Make sure it's all nice and sanitized. So now what we've actually put warm water in here. It's pretty hot. I've calculated that this should get us up to that 30-degree mark that we're looking for, which is perfect. So we're gonna get 6 liters of water added. So this is the first 5. And then one of the really good things as well about obviously just ensure you don't get this on the PET, because they're not designed to handle hot. So if you're gonna aim it in there, make sure it goes in the middle of the water, middle of the wort, or use a funnel or something. So what we've done is we've actually measured, so we've added 6 liters of water. We measured the temperature of the Fresh Wort Kit beforehand and calculated what temperature we needed the 6 liters of water to be so that we can pitch this pretty much straight away. So I'm just gonna verify that it is 30 degrees and the calculations are correct, and then we'll get it pitched. One really good thing about these new CellarScience strains is they've all got the pressure rating on them as well. So CellarScience have gone to a lot of effort to find out exactly where they perform optimally. With this one, we're probably not gonna ferment it under pressure because the esters that it's gonna produce sound so delicious. I think we're just going to let it go with no pressure at all during the first peak part of fermentation. And then after we dry hop, we'll start locking that pressure in to start the carbonation process, essentially. So pretty much bang on 32, which is the very top limit of what is recommended for this yeast strain. So it says between 18 and 32. So we're within the guidelines, and we're just going to give it a go. So we'll get it stuck in there and just sprinkle it on the top. So that yeast is in there, and it's around about 5 o'clock now on Monday. So we're gonna get it stuck in the chamber. We're gonna set the spunning valve to pretty much open so that we can get some of those esters. And I think when we come back in tomorrow morning, this was probably already halfway fermented. So then we'll attach the hop bong, get the hops in there for maybe 8 to 12 hours. And then we're gonna cold crash it down and see how quick we can get it into a glass and carbonate it.
The next day.
So we've got in here the 75 grams of Krush, 50 grams of Motueka, and 50 grams of Nectaron as well. So we've got it in a hot bong. Obviously we're slowing down fermentation, so we're definitely gonna give this a purge. So we're just gonna purge the hot bong now to make sure there's no oxygen going in, because we're trying to make a quick beer and not a bad beer. So we'll just give that a few purges. And then we're gonna just release it out of there. Seal it back up. And they're in there. I reckon we'll be back in a few hours and it'll all finished. Okay, so that was pretty wild, but we are gonna have a beer ready for the party on schedule. So essentially, we pitched the beer at 5 p.m. on Monday, as you saw. We reached FG within 30 hours. So it had reached FG by 11 p.m. on Tuesday of 10:07. So it ended up at 5.1, which is perfect. And then what we did is we had a delay built into the automation via the wrap tap. And essentially that allowed us to ensure that we definitely reached FG. So we allowed it to sit there for 6 hours and make sure it didn't drop anymore. And then we started the cold crash. We cold crashed all day Wednesday, and now it's been sat. We cold crashed pretty hard, so about -2. And then we kegged the beer. So we ran it through a little inline filter just to get any of the hops, because it was such a short cold crash, just to make sure we picked up any of the hops in that transfer to make sure we didn't end up with any hops in the keg. And now we are ready to carbonate it. So we're gonna try and carbonate it with this inline carbonation device using a carbonation stone and the sight glass from the hop bong and a super sucker pump. So what a lot of people will do is they will just crank the pressure up to 40 psi and shake the hell out of the keg, or they'll put it on the floor and just rock it backwards and forwards. But it's just so inconsistent. You have no idea exactly how much you've carbonated that beer, how much CO2 is dissolved. And I hate overcarbonated beer or undercarbonated beer. So this method, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a carbonation chart and calculate the temperature of the beer, and that'll allow us to, so we'll use the temperature of the beer and that'll tell us what we need to set the pressure to on the device. And there is zero chance of overcarbonating the beer. As long as you use the carbonation chart, you're gonna hit that perfect number every single time and it'll be repeatable.
So your regulator pressure equals wetting pressure, the PSI required to push gas through the carbonation stone, plus desired pressure, calculated using the temperature of your beer and a carbonation chart. In our case, we set the regulator pressure to 14 psi, 4 psi wetting pressure plus 10 psi desired pressure, and we let it run.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run the beer out of the liquid post through this bev pump here, and then it's gonna go into this hot bong chamber. We're gonna have our gas pressure set here at 10 psi, as I mentioned, because we've calculated the pressure that we need for this beer that's sat at 1 degree. And that's gonna force the beer to travel all the way past this carbonation stone, back out, and then back into the keg. So it's essentially just gonna keep recirculating past that carbonation stone until it's completely saturated with CO2 at that pressure. What you're gonna see is we're gonna see a lot of bubbles coming out of this carbonation stone, so it's really fine bubbles that are gonna come out of there. And then once it's fully saturated, all of those bubbles will disappear and you'll just see beer flowing past it. So there'll be no bubbles left in there. And that's when we know that it'll be saturated, because no more CO2 can get out of the carb stone essentially. So what we've done is we've completely filled this. So we ran sanitizer through it. We completely filled it all with sanitizer. And then we've forced all of that out with CO2 as well. So there's no oxygen in here either. So we can be sure we're not gonna oxidize the beer. we're just going to prime it now. So we're going to turn on the pump and essentially just prime all of this with the beer as well, so that we're not just forcing the CO2 in. There we are, we've got that fully primed. So that's fully primed now. We're just gonna spray this to make sure it's all sanitized. Hop that on there. So now that's just continuously circulating through there. So that'll just keep pumping through. And then we're gonna hook up our gas line here. So now, as you can see, these bubbles are all coming from the carbonation stone as it essentially just the liquid pushes past there and absorbs it on its way through. And once it's finished, we'll know that there'll be no more bubbles essentially coming out of the carbonation stone. So that's been around about half an hour and we've come back to this one. And as you can see, there's no longer any of those micro CO2 bubbles coming out of that carbonation stone. So we know that at this temperature and pressure, this beer is completely saturated. So it's fully carbonated and we can turn it off. Okay, so we've proved that we can brew a quick beer, but let's see if we've brewed a good beer. So it's been coming up to 72 hours now. So it's been 71 hours, so 3 days from pitch to glass. And I've been tasting this as it's been fermenting. And even though it's been 30 degrees, which is a little warm even for me, we've not noticed any nasty off flavors or esters from the yeast kicking out at that temperature that you normally would expect from a normal yeast at those sort of temperatures, unless you've got a lot of pressure. So the photo room where we've been fermenting this has actually been smelling awesome. So we've had staff members keep coming in and just smelling the tropical aromas that have been kicking out of the fermenter. So let's see what it's like now that it's carbonated. Carbonation took around about 30 minutes. It's really easy using that method to see exactly when it's finished. So you just stop seeing all those bubbles coming out of the carbonation stone. But yeah, enough of the yabbing. Let's, I mean, it looks great. It's still hazy as hell. I'm not sure if it's gonna drop out. It's not really had any chance to drop out given how long it's been, but we have ran it through that filter and we also cold crashed it at like -2 for 24 hours. It's definitely carbonated, so let's have a go on this one. It smells great. It smells like tropical fruit. Definitely getting like the guava that the yeast said that it'd kick out. And some of those stone fruits are like the passion fruit. There's a lot of zestiness as well, so that Motueka is definitely coming through on there as well, which I think will cut through pretty nice. So the beer ended up being around about 5.1%, which is perfect if it tastes good. So yeah, it smells amazing. Can't pick up any faults from the fermentation. Oh guys, it's really good. It's probably a little drier than I would have hoped for, but coming in at 5.1, I'm kind of happy with that because you'll be able to smash quite a few of these. That Motueka definitely cuts through the heavier tropical fruits that you've got coming off of the flavor and the aroma. Yeah, there's none of that nastiness that you normally get when you ferment warm. And it's not just, you can tell that the yeast is definitely contributing something as well. It's not just the hops you're getting, because you're getting that guava flavor, which you don't really get from the hop combo that we've used in here. So it's definitely contributing. It's just strange that it's contributing such nice flavors at such a high temperature. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get Daz in here. So we'll get him in here. He's got a really good palate, so we'll see what he thinks of the beer. I'm not gonna tell him how long we fermented it for or how hot we fermented it. He knows that we've been doing something in the photo room for the past couple of days. But yeah, let's see what he thinks of it. Yeah, so we've got Daz here, who, as I say, is the self-proclaimed hazy king at KegLand. So we're just gonna get him to come in and taste this brand new hazy recipe that we've got on here. So Daz, if you wanna come and try this one, and just tell us what you think. It's a new recipe. It's clearly hazy.
Yeah, it's not a lager.
Oh, wow. Getting a lot of pineapple from that.
Smells great. Tropical fruity notes.
Decent body, great aroma.
So it's 5.1%.
Yeah, look, 5.1, I mean, good to smash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Delicious.
This beer was brewed, well, we pitched this beer less than 72 hours ago.
Right. How have you done that?
You what?
Yeah, so on Monday, we pitched it at 5 p.m. on Monday. and it's been fermenting and then for around about 36 hours
Wow.
or 30 hours at 30 degrees.
You wouldn't know.
No, cold crashed. I don't think there's any off flavors or anything like that.
No.
Cold crashed.
Yep.
But I reckon the secret is, regardless of that, I reckon it's this.
Okay.
And I think it's, how quick is that to turn around a beer that's that awesome?
That is remarkable, actually. Yeah, that's quite impressive.
That's unbelievable. There's no, usually, you get a bit of hot burn at the start, first week or something. There's none of that. It's I don't want to big his ego, but it's pretty faultless.
So what do you reckon? Do we put the recipe on the website?
I reckon we probably should, yeah. For sure.
Guys,
that's
this is
pretty impressive.
It's definitely one that we're going to stick on there, and it's definitely one that I'll brew again, and it'll be one that'll be enjoyed at the party. So make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you get notified, and click the bell icon to get notified whenever we release a new one in this series. Also, follow our KegLand community group on Facebook to get all the tips and tricks. As I say, we've got a brand new series featuring all the CellarScience yeasts. But yeah, I reckon the beer will be a hit at the party.
I reckon.
All right, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.